Alright guys, so here's the review of the Corgeut Black Bay Homage. So I've actually had this one for quite a while now. I've put off doing the review because there's a few niggly little things with it. You might have seen other reviewers mention them, most notably Gary over at I Like Watches. He had a few issues with this one, so I'll get onto that when we get into the review. So, to start off, as you can see, this is the watch. They do actually have a few different versions of this. I'll leave pictures now so you can see what you can get. They do actually have different movement options as well. They have the Seagull or the Miota. But again, I'll leave links and pictures so you can check all that out. Either down in the description or obviously pictures on screen now. But getting right into it, let's address those issues straight off the bat. So first issue is this bezel. As you can see, it's not lined up properly. Just zoom in. So that's slightly off at the top. Also, weirdly, with this, it is actually an 88 click bezel, not 90. No idea why, but it is. The action on it's quite nice, to be fair, but like I say, it doesn't line up, and there's quite a bit of back play. Moves quite a lot, so not great. It is only an aluminium insert as well, but that's not too big a deal. I don't mind that too much. Obviously ceramic would have been better, but I think there is a bit of an issue with red bezels and them being ceramic. I think it's a lot more difficult to do, because I know I've had previous watches like my Parnish GMT, that was also aluminium because it was the red one. Well, it had the red part on it, which apparently is quite difficult to do, like I say. But other than that, not great, because this bit here, it's not totally noticeable, but because it is only slightly, but it's not great. So the other major issue, well, I say major, the other issue is that dial. I didn't really notice this at first, to be honest, but the more you look at it, the more noticeable it is. The dial is actually slightly offset, slightly closer to the left, to the 9 o'clock. It's not a major issue, I guess. It depends how bad yours is. My particular one doesn't seem overly bad, but it is noticeable. Once you see it, you can't really unsee it. So again, another bit of a negative. If it was just one or the other issues, I probably could deal with it, to be honest. I probably would have worn it more. But the fact that there's both, it just kind of, it's more noticeable, I guess. It just kind of bugs me. But anyway, as for the rest of the watch, everything else is actually quite nicely done. Those hands are really nice, like I think they're rose gold around the edge, as well as the indices as well. They do look nice. And thankfully, they are actually perfectly aligned as well, which is good. And then obviously we've got Lume in them as well, but we'll be checking that out a bit later in the Lume shop. As for the rest of the dial, it's all quite simple. We just got printed text with the Corgeut at the top. Then we've got this is another bit of an issue actually, I just forgot about this one. It says 200 meters on here, on the dial. But on the listing it actually says 100. So make of that what you will. I'm probably more inclined to think it's 100, to be honest. But you never know. But moving on. So we've got a screw down crown on this, which is nice. So again, that's going to help with water resistance. And we have actually got, just zoom in, the nice red detail on that. Just does look good. Nice little touch. So obviously, if we pull it out, just move these hands so we can see everything properly. So if we pull it out once, it's not really that defined. You don't get a click, but that is actually once, and then we can change the date. As you can see, pull it again, we do actually get a nice click, and as you can see the second hand stops, so we have actually got hacking on this, and then obviously, like I I showed you before, we can change the time, push it back in, second hand rain gauges. Again, no click though, little bit of an issue, just not that obvious what mode you're in when you're trying to change the date all the time. So something else to bear in mind. So forgive those smudges and fingerprints. As with the case, we actually have a mixture of brushed and polished. So along the edges we've got a polished unsigned crown, unfortunately. Then we have actually got some brushing on top, with a nice little chamfered edge. Quite nicely done. No issues with that. And again, like I say, polished around the other side as well. And as for the bracelet, that's fully brushed until we get to this clasp. So you've got a brushed outside, then if we open it up, we have actually got a little polished element in there, and then this bit is polished as well. It's quite a nice clasp actually. Nicely done. Nice satisfying click. Nice and secure with that fold over. Doesn't move around easily, so not going to pop open, which is good. We have actually got screw links as well, which is nice. And we've got a nice little micro adjust there, 3-level micro adjust. So you should be able to get a good fit. While we're around here as well, as you can see, sterile case back. With the Rolex style screw down. Got solid end links as well, which is a nice touch. So overall, the bracelet is quite nice. It's just those issues on the dial more than anything. And again, like I say, that bezel being slightly misaligned. So let's go on to the measurements. So we've got a thickness of 13mm, diameter of 41mm, and a lug width of 22. But it does actually taper down to about 18. And then we've got a lug to lug of 51mm, more or less, slightly under. So not the most compact of dimensions, but with it being based on the Tudor Black Bay, you kind of expect that. Similar dimensions to that one. So let's see whether we've got sapphire crystal on this. Using the trusty Diamond Selector 2. So as you can see, yep, we've got sapphire crystal there, which is always nice. So let's see what the lume's like on this. So already looking pretty good, but as always, let's charge it up, give it a proper chance. And there we go. So actually looking pretty good. Pretty nice lume. And as you can see, we've got it on all the indices. Plenty on those hands as well. Actually got a little bit on the second hand. And then we've even got the lume pip at the top as well. Although the lume pip isn't quite as bright. But you're probably not going to be using this diving anyway. It's going to be more of a desk diver. It's not really too big a deal. But as you can see, it does last pretty well. It's nice and evenly done as well. We've not got indices that are brighter than others or any issues like that, which I've had on previous watches. So overall, decent lume. Especially considering AliExpress watches tend not to have them that good, especially this kind of price point. You normally need to spend quite a bit more to get a decent amount. I'm pleasantly surprised with this one. So, not too bad at all. So all that's left to do now is show it you on wrist. So this is what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist. Like I say, not a small watch by any means. Pretty sizable dimensions, but for a 7-inch wrist, I think it's just about right. Any more on that lug to lug and it would be too big. That's pretty much at the limit for me, I think. Like I say, do really like this clasp and this bracelet. They are pretty nice. Nice unique style clasp, similar to the original Tudor. It's just with those issues on the dial though, and that bezel, it just kind of ruins it for me, which is a real shame. Because other than that, it's a nice watch. If they can sort out those issues, then I probably would recommend it. But they seem to be pretty consistent across all the watches. A few other reviewers have said similar things, so I can't really recommend this one, guys. But if you still want to take a bit of a gamble on it and go for it, link will be down in the description as always. But other than that, that's pretty much it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.